It actually looks like this should be multiple Genesee tap handles, but before I get to those, I did want to mention that a number of my supporters have actually been asking me what my favorite tap handles are. And I'm going to get into those in some following videos. I'll start to do a series of at least a couple of my favorite ones. But on that note, if you have any favorite tap handles, any ones that you'd love to have me feature or anything like that, drop it in a comment on any of the channels where you might be seeing this. So TikTok or YouTube or anything else. Leave me a comment. I'd love to hear what you like so that I can feature those as well. And this is super exciting because this is multiple Genesee tap handles. I'm just going to feature one at first, and then we'll get into the other ones in future videos. So I'll cover those in some upcoming ones. If you notice up here, I also have another Genesee tap handle. And I've featured some of these tap handles before. This is actually one that is similar to the other one that I've featured before. I believe that it's a slightly different variation, but there's a couple of things to note about this particular one. So with this particular one, this is actually metal. So the core of it is metal, but they do produce another one that I believe came afterwards that was actually made out of plastic. So it is worth noting that if you're picking this up, you want to check and see whether it's a metal one or a plastic one. The metal ones are typically the ones you'll want to go for because they are slightly more durable from my experience. But it's also worth noting that just because of that design, this is a relatively small connector here. Even if this is metal, there is a chance, even if you get the metal one, there's a chance that it can break. So you do want to be careful with these. You'll notice with this one that it does have a little bit of wear. This right here is actually a piece of plastic that's been adhered to it. So it's a sticker style design. So it's been adhered to it, except rather than it just being a piece of paper with a little bit of soft plastic over it, this is actually a harder plastic there. And you'll notice that it does have the Genesee on there. You've got a nice little bit of reflectiveness that goes on there, and the beer naming there, and that is repeated on the other side. So if you are picking one of these up, you should expect that to be on both sides and for that to be a matching design. Right there, it actually mentions, let me see here, U.S. Company Incorporated, Rochester, New York, and then I'm not sure what this last bit is here, but it is a Rochester beer. You will notice this one has a little bit of wear. With any of these older ones, you will get some wear there. This is one. I had a previous video where I covered a little bit of what is a vintage tap handle, and this style of Genesee tap would kind of fall into that category. So it's a little bit of an older one. Another thing that I do like to call out for these is that while this is the standard tap handle threading, so any of these should have the standard 3/8/16 threading, some of these have a relatively short depth. So with most of the adapters that I do and stuff like that, they're designed to work with most tap handles, but it's just worth noting that if you are putting this onto your tap faucet or doing something like that with a tap like this, if you want it to be truly flush, sometimes you'll want to have an extra nut that you put onto the threading that you're threading it onto. So just worth calling that out. But overall, just a solid tap handle. It's a good kind of vintage style design, and Genesee is a pretty well-loved beer.